Let's let the listeners know just a little bit about you and your journey in your professional career up to this point, and then we'll get into real estate.
Sure. Yeah. So dentistry I'm an endodontist by trade. I graduated from NYU in 2008. It's been a while now. So for me, becoming a dentist, I never always wanted to be a dentist or anything like that. I went through high school and wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I was good in sciences. I went and did biological sciences degree at the University of Alberta in Canada. While I was there, I was actually going to go to med school. I had done the MCAT. I had started applying for med school. And at the last second, a couple of my friends that were in med school and a couple of guys were in dental school, like, man, you should do dentistry. It's less stress, less years of school. You make more money. So that was all I needed to hear. And then I went the dental route. I did the DAT the very next year, and then I went into dentistry from there.
Nice.
I figured out even to specialize. It was like, I heard that, hey, look, you can. Number one, I like to go deep into subject matter and learn stuff deep. Like as a general dentist, you have to learn like all these different things. So my natural personality is not to go wide, but to go deep. So it was just a natural inclination for me to go and specialize. I specialized in endodontics at NYU. I did my dental school at Howard University. And I graduated 2008. So that was kind of my journey to become a dentist, I guess. So that was not my story also, right? So I went into the medical field because of that, the ability to earn and ability to, move vertically from where we were as a family, right? We were from, like I said, very, very modest means. So becoming a dentist, now all of a sudden I started earning income, and I had never seen money before, right? So now I had no advisors. I had nobody to tell me what to do. I was new to America. I immigrated from Canada, so I didn't have any connections. I didn't have anybody to teach me anything, but I just started making a lot of money. And we're taught as also work hard, right? Immigrant story is, hey, working hard. So I was working 5-6 days a week, and all of a sudden I'm generating income. Before I graduated, Brett, like $100 was a fortune to me, right?
Yeah.
If I look at $100 bill, I get excited because $100 is a lot of money. And then all of a sudden, you're making thousands of dollars a day, and it completely changed everything. And I also had 2 kids by this point, and I was forced to keep working. That is what led to burnout, right? Now, all of a sudden, I'm dependent on this income just to maintain this lifestyle, right? And I think that leads to that's one of the big things about burnout, right? Like, it's like you start working because you have to. You start losing the joy of why you did the profession in the first place. You start losing your purpose, which was, hey, look, I came to help people. I came to, act in the capacity of servitude, and these things all get lost. You start to feel physical problems, the mental and the physical, they follow each other. And I believe that's what caused burnout for me, right? It's not spending enough time with my family, just being disillusioned about this whole dentistry, not having a clear exit from this hell, even though it's not, hell is relative, but that's kind of where that's what led for me to burnout. And I realized that a lot of my colleagues were suffering from the same thing, right? So that's why I wrote a small book, an ebook called, The Dentist's Guide to Beating Burnout. And that was very much what inspired that. I wrote that about 5 years ago now.
Were you a W-2 or were you self-employed? Or tell us a little bit about that arrangement.
Sure, yeah. On the dentistry side, most of my income was W-2 and 1099, right? Like, I'm a 1099 independent contractor, is more semantics, but that's, still taxed very heavily. Obviously, there's some advantages of 1099 over W-2, but end of the day, you're still paying ridiculously large amounts of taxes, right? And that's exactly where I was. Yeah.
In all of those things that you were talking about, the Ferrari, the car, the trips, I didn't hear anything about assets in there or ways to offset the income or I didn't hear anything about delayed gratification in there. How much of a struggle is that?
So I had delayed gratification my whole life up to that
Right.
point, right? Now I'm 28 years old. I've still never owned a car, right? I've been taking the train and bus, public transportation my entire life. I see my other people I went to high school, graduating, they have kids, they have a BMW, you know, they have a nice house, and I'm still eating, you know, getting these microwave dinners, and like I'm still like struggling. I don't have nice new clothes. Like I delayed I said I delayed gratification till I was 29 years old. I didn't own my first car until I was 29 years old, you know. Wow. So I felt I had to delay gratification all this time. But you know, had I had some mentorship and had some, you know, guidance, I would have done things a lot differently. I did have the foresight to save 20% of every dollar I made, right? In hindsight, because all of a sudden my income, I should have been saving 70 or 80% of my money, and I could have very much increased my lifestyle and still lived off of 20% of my money, right, compared to what I was living. So I did save, like I said, 20%, and I started learning about, introduced to real estate investing while I was in dental school. My father started having modest success in real estate in his late 60s. In his 60s, he's a serial entrepreneur that tried and failed at many, many businesses. And then real estate, he started getting some traction. He started finally making some money, and that was in his late 60s while we were in dental school. And that's when he's like, hey, you guys got to get into real estate. You know, he started telling us that while we were in dental school. I read my first book about real estate in the third-year dental school, which is called Creating Wealth by Robert Allen. And I was just completely, you know, like this equity and income and leverage and this world I'd never heard of it. I was like, listen, this is where I'm going to make my mark in this world, is real estate. I knew that from then. So I did start saving 20% of my money for every dollar, so I can, hey, look, I'm going to start investing in real estate. So I did start investing in real estate, right?
What were some of the things that you started buying first? Where did those opportunities come from?
Yeah, sure. Where did I start? I mean, my first property I bought, like I graduated 2008 in July. By I think it was February, March of 2009. So less than 6-8 months later after graduating, I bought, it was a single family house. I badly wanted to invest, Brett. Like I had the investment bug, like since I read about it in theories. Back then, there was no great podcasts like this, YouTubes and audio book. Maybe there were, but not 2008. That was 14, how long was that? 16 years ago? I don't think Audible was around. At least I didn't have it, you know, and there was all these great podcasts, all this great YouTube. I mean, it was in its infancy stages back then. That stuff wasn't available. So everything you learned was from books. It was outdated, right? And you're just trying to figure it out. There's no I didn't have any mentor. I didn't know anybody. So my sister-in-law was going to Seton Hall University to do her MBA in business. MBA in marketing. And she was looking for a place to live near Seton Hall. And I said, hey, look, why don't I buy something? I was living in Manhattan, couldn't afford anything in New York. So the sister-in-law was going to school in Jersey, right across the river. So I said, hey, look, why don't I buy the house and you and your roommates rent it from me? They said, okay, fine, sure, let's do it. So I bought the house near the university. Ended up being a great investment because they lived there. It was literally 2 blocks walking distance from Seton Hall. So, you know, they would leave, next set of graduate students, and graduate students have been living in there, you know, ever since. I still actually have that single family house, and that's been a wonderful investment in the sense that it's, you know, the house has tripled in value over the last, you know, 14 years and whatever. So that was good. Then I said, okay, this is good. And I bought a condo after that.
Hey, and then as I'm hearing you do this, even kind of like doing a little bit, you know, going from single family, parking lot, strip mall, and we're going to talk probably about multifamily here in a second. In this journey, the tax piece of that, have you felt any benefits from the tax piece, even in the 1.0 version?
Yeah, so there are some benefits, right? Like you get to depreciation. The income is tax advantage dollars, so it didn't add to any income that I got from the real estate didn't add to my bottom line, right? Like in terms of taxable income. So there were some small advantages, I would say. They weren't meaningful enough to make a dent, right? Like my W-2 income was still hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, right?
Mhm.
A couple $100,000 each year is going to, $250,000 minimum is going to W-2 taxes. So I would say that, yeah, there were some benefits, right? But I wasn't maximizing on them because I didn't really understand that part really.
Yeah.
So so I didn't optimize like I could have and should have really.